Hey guys, so Trump is facing potentially his biggest foreign policy challenge yet in his second term. That is, as the UN is convening this week, and a vast majority of countries in the world are pushing for a two-state solution in Gaza. Now, this is not necessarily anything new, but it's picked up a lot of steam just this past week as more of America's key allies, including Britain, France, and Canada, are really getting behind the idea. Trump actually had threatened to add more to Canadian tariffs if they supported the idea, but Canada's moved forward with it anyway. Saudi Arabia is backing the measure. And as the UN convenes in New York this week to apply even more pressure to the situation, they're allowing Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to speak in front of the convention. Now, a lot of people don't know this. The UN is headquarters are actually based in New York under a 1947 agreement. World leaders, regardless of their stance with the U.S., were allowed to come in and out. Many have over the years. No friends of the U.S. in particular, including the president of Iran. I remember seeing the Gaddafi speaking there. So in any event, Trump himself is going to speak, and I thought this was kind of a salacious headline, but Trump's UN General Assembly speech nervously anticipated by world leaders. You can see different versions of this throughout different headlines, but in any event, really, really quick background on what's going on here. So as I mentioned, this is all part of the Oslo Accords originally proposed way back in 1993 that was supposed to see, after a series of steps were followed, a two-state solution between both Israel and the Palestinian territories. Now, both sides over time had basically kind of eroded that agreement, and it all but just sat on the shelf as, in namesake only. But again, with everything that's going on especially after the October 7th attacks and Israelis' justified incursion into Gaza afterwards, there's been people are looking for long term here. What are we going to do? Now, so for its part, France and other countries aren't advocating for Hamas to stay in power. In fact, I believe what's being implied here is the next step by having Abbas speak is that the Palestinian Authority would come in to rule, which, by the way, rules the West Bank, which is separate from the Gaza Strip. I believe the suggestion is that they're going to have the Palestinian Authority run both. So we're going to see what that looks like. Now, a few other key things here, guys. This is as the tally as it sits just about a week ago, the way the UN is actually voting for this. Again, overwhelmingly, most countries in the world are supporting a two-state solution. In fact, there's only been, now this number's fluctuating depending on what headline I read, and they're changing constantly, but there's only about 5 nay votes, the U.S. being one of them. The U.S., obviously Israel, and I believe Argentina being some notable ones, Hungary as well, voting against it. So we'll see how this kind of plays out. But again, it should be a very impactful week. Trump himself is expected to speak, and all of this in the backdrop of Israel's increased incursion into the Gaza Strip, which is into Gaza City, which is the most populous enclave within the Gaza Strip itself. So we're going to see how this plays out. But again, President Trump's peace plan does not involve, at least in the short term, a two-state solution. So it's definitely a challenge to one of his core foreign policy objectives. Stay tuned for more.